clones that did their own thing. So why can you say that you have this chip? Now maybe I'm, again, ignorant, and I don't understand the concept of the bioorganic chip. Maybe it's just, again, it's a trigger. Once they hear the words, Order 66 and, execute being basically the trigger word or the opening word, like what's going to snap them like a trance, like, you will do this, okay? Like magicians do. And then it's like, snap. And then they do it. Maybe that's their snap. Maybe that's their on switch, is execute. They hear execute and they just, they freeze up mentally, and then they have to hear the order and execute it because they were told to execute, do it. So execute Order 66, okay, boom, they did it. But why? And again, I don't understand the chip concept, but the Legends continuity, which I don't understand as well, for the reason why it's Legends. It was shown in the movie, which up until they started creating their own continuity, the movies and the cartoon was their continuity. That was what they said was canon, was basically just the cartoons because they hadn't come out with episode 7 yet. So, that being said, it was in the movie with their little headgear showing them learning at the planet Kamino. That was their training. That was why they were told to do these things without question everything. And then they just give them the chip and I don't know. I just don't know. So, ultimately, there's all these things that are touched on with The Force Awakens and all these things that fans have at this point touched on. And a lot of fans said that, oh, well, this is, the best Star Wars ever. And I've seen a few videos that basically state fans said the same thing with when A Phantom Menace came out. And when the hype died down, then fans actually watched it again and they were like, this isn't funny, or this is stupid, or I don't like Jar Jar. Like, Phantom Menace is considered the worst movie in Star Wars, minus, Darth Maul, because everybody loves Darth Maul. But when it first came out, everybody loved every aspect of Phantom Menace. Same thing is happening with this movie, is basically and from my understanding, it's even happening with Rogue One. So basically Disney doesn't know what they're doing. They shouldn't have done this, and hell, if anything, they should actually call out to the original creator who has it his own archive, who knows how the universe operates and how it should be and how it shouldn't be. Believe it or not, George Lucas did have a vision for Episode 7, but eventually left the idea for I don't remember, I should say, what reason. But originally, when he created A New Hope, he wanted to create 3 distinct trilogies. Which one reason why he might have abandoned it is probably because of the EU. Is he allowed people to publish comic books and publish other things that took place unless there's some sort of stipulation with the timeline to say like, oh, well, leave a gap in the timeline so that I can still make the movies that lead into this stuff. I mean, they did that with other stuff too, I'm pretty sure. I would say it's safe to assume, like Old Republic came out, and all this other stuff. It might have come out before, might have come out after. I want to say it came out after Phantom Menace, but still. It's very easy to say, okay, you need to make sure that these events actually take place after a certain point, because he distinctively said that he wanted the movies trilogy to actually take place in a certain time increment. I think it was like 30 or 20 years. Which is actually about right when you look at it. Regardless of the jump in age and the fact that I don't think we got any exposition other than we might have gotten it in comics and books and other sort of things that I haven't looked into and read yet, within both canon continuities. But ultimately we go from Little Annie to Hayden Christensen, which another thing that I complain about is not Hayden Christensen. A lot of people do. They're like, oh, he portrayed a poor Anakin Skywalker. He did shitty and it ended up ruining his career. which is fucking stupid because honestly, and I have seen this in another fan video that someone uploaded to YouTube, is that he played a very good Anakin Skywalker. He is a slave. There's a reason why the Jedi Council did not want to bring him into the Order, and why they have a rule of age limit to do so. It's because they do form attachments. Attachments is forbidden because of the fact that emotions will cloud your judgment, and you're supposed to be basically mind over matter as a Jedi. You're supposed to be balanced. You're supposed to have emotional control. So having emotions is not forbidden. It's letting them overthrow and overtake you with your decision making and your choices of person. And as Anakin was like 8 or 9 years old, really, Callie? Why are you sitting on me? Stop. Cat, you're on my cord. There. Have headphones in. So, ultimately, Anakin was like 8 or 9 years old, which he had already formed attachments to a lot of things, emotionally, positive and negative. She's like nudging on my phone. He formed love and care and compassion and all these things for his friends, maybe. But let's be honest, we do give up friends all the time in life. You're in elementary school, or you move, or you go in high school. Relationships, they come and they go as friends and as people in general. But he had his mom, he had all these things that he was resenting the Order for over the years because they would not allow him to do. They wouldn't allow him. They're like, oh, you focus too much on combat, and that's a trait of a Sith or a Darksider or whatever. He's having that kind of, passion. Maybe he just wants to hone his skills. I mean, from my understanding, there are Jedi who do that. Maybe that line and that quote, because I saw it from a comic book, and I think it's a new canon comic book, which might be why. But I believe in the original Legends, there was a class of Jedi, like I think it was the Guardians or something. There was a particular type of Jedi that did, focus more on lightsaber combat versus force training because of whatever reason. Which is good to have a sense of balance. You can't have people who study both aspects equally because you need to have one who is a specialist. You have to have someone who knows something more than the next. It's kind of boring when you think about it, Anyways, though, basically we do have that gap between episode 1 and episode 2, and a lot of people bash Hayden Christensen for his performance. But, he didn't have a father. He just had his mother. He was a slave. He probably didn't spend much time with his mom. As a slave, even from our own history, we can assume what he went through. I mean, hell, even in the movie, they state that he has some sort of transmitter or something located in some anonymous part of his body, like somewhere random, who he doesn't know about. And he, as a child, as an inventor, he created C-3PO out of scraps. He created 3PO entirely. He created his own pod out of secret. He was just gathering stuff. He was kind of a junker in a way. Which is funny because, junker, they would probably be like a scavenger. And they use the term junker in Guardians of the Galaxy, which is also owned by Disney. But, people complain that Hayden Christensen is a horrible... He portrays him very well. I don't see what the problem is. I guess I'm just mentally exhausting myself on this. I'll jump on the whole Hayden Christensen being a good actor and a good portrayer of Anakin Skywalker on another day, I guess, once I edit things down. That way I have more room on my phone because I don't have a computer to do this. Wouldn't that be nice? So, Star Wars, The Force Awakens, there are Force abilities that have never been shown in Star Wars, which does bother me. And it really pulls me out of it every time I watch it, which is probably one reason why I'm not a fan, is I don't like being pulled out of a movie. I am not a fan of pausing a movie, and when I do, I actually jump the scene backwards, so that I can be back in that moment entirely. What? I'm not joking, my cat is fat. Like, she is a glutton like no tomorrow. Her bowl we feed her, she runs to the bowl the minute she knows that we're over there. We're in the kitchen, she runs over there because she knows we have food. You know, if I set something down, stop! Oh, get off me. Sorry, she's really annoying. I'm an animal lover, so maybe that's my reason, is I love her by default. But she will eat everything until, like... Okay, I'm going to show you this really quick. Alright. You see that? See? She ran right over because I'm in here. I'm going to pull up just to make sure, since I can't tell what you can see. Okay, you can't see it at all. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Okay, see, it's a Tupperware, has this little, you know, nudge thing on the bottom. When that rim gets hit, meaning, Callie! Sorry, I'm just really irritated, especially with the fact she just, like, ran into me. I have poor balance as it is, but, the minute that, no matter how much food we put in there, she will leave barely anything in that rim, so that there's scraps left in it. And at that point, she will complain because she ate all of her food in one sitting, that she wants more, like she always has to eat. I think I might have stated this in another video, and in case that I didn't, there was last week, I'm sitting in my chair that you always see me sitting in, and she's over here, you know, over here, staring out the window like she always does. Runs over, eats, and runs back, or walks back, or whatever. And within 2 to 5 minutes, not even joking, it was like, literally, she looked out the window for maybe 2 minutes, and then walks back and eats more. So my cat is legitimately a gluttony fat. So,